I don't plan on being overly energized in this video because it's already past 10 o'clock and it's quiet hours in this Airbnb. I'm in Maine. I'm working with Jordan and Megan from Putnam Coastal Painting, and it was planned as a 4-day trip to come out and shoot content. A lot has happened in these past 72 hours, or wait, no, hold on, let me actually do the math because I don't even think I'm gonna do the math right. Yeah, 72. We still got another 96. We still have another 24 hours. So it's actually, yeah, it's been 72 hours that I've been in Maine and I've been shooting content with Jordan and Megan. And I actually put a post up for people to ask me questions about the trip that involves branding, involves what this trip is like, involves what strategies I'm using for this contractor, a little bit of the behind the scenes. So I'm just relaxing. I'm going to be going through this as I scroll through and just sharing what I have here. So one of the first questions that I got was, what's the first thing I did when I arrived at the contractor's job site today? The first project that we went to it was an exterior project that he had his team working on. Pretty big home, pretty old home, but they were restoring it, giving it a nice clean white fresh paint to the exterior of the home. So there was a moment where he picked up the tape and he was actually putting blue tape around just so they can go around and do some touch-ups, do some minor caulking. But yeah, the very first thing that I did when I got there to that project was get the interaction of them immediately having that first conversation together, because you can't script that. He honestly has to explain exactly what he needs to explain. So I don't try to be like, all right, do it all over again after he explained everything, where he just starts to overthink what he just said to his crew leader. So it's like, so I like to just, hey, go do your thing. Just explain what you got to explain. I'm going to get the good parts. And I love creating that organic interactions because honestly, when you create content like that, people love watching content that isn't always scripted and that can give them a little bit of that exclusivity of what it's like when he's on a project. That's why I love it when it's that very first moment of him interacting with whoever it is that he has to interact with, whether it's a crew leader, whether it's a client that he's working with that are okay with being on camera, and we do have their full consent. But yes, that was the very first thing that we did. I was just looking through the camera because I had kind of forgot from it just being a very long day. I mean, it's already about to be 11 o'clock, but that was the very first thing that I did was get that very first interaction footage. Do you plan the content beforehand or freestyle everything? What's funny is that I have a content plan. I have a checklist. I have questions ready. Everything is very detailed on what I need specifically and what I need to prioritize when I'm going out on business trips like this, or even when I'm back home and working with contractors back home. I'm very organized in that sense because I need to make sure that I remember so much that I want to get for either the content that we're going to shoot or the story that I want to tell or the ad we want to create. I need to be very organized when it comes to this stuff. So I don't try to just keep it in my head. No, I actually have a folder with all the information on it, from what intros I need, what outros I need, the pictures. Tomorrow is going to be picture day, so I'm going to be taking pictures for the thumbnail that we're going to be using for his YouTube cover. There is moments where I have to adjust and change the content style. Like not everything goes as planned because a contractor's day is like so fast paced, and then out of nowhere you have to go to the store because you have to pick up some extra material and you don't have that extra time to. So whatever that looks like, we adjusted in the moment and we actually changed the content concept of what we were planning to do. But it's okay because as long as you're just prepared for these moments and know that if something changes in the day where we don't get the amount of time that we need to get, or we have to go do other things other than what we were planning to do, as long as you're on top of it, and I am very on top of it and very aware of, okay, we can't do this, then I already had a plan B. And boom, we adjust very quickly and make sure we get the content that we need to get. So some of it does get freestyled, but at the end of the day is I've done this so many times that I can adjust pretty easily to any scenario and just make sure that as long as the contractor is still in content mode, is still in, and I remind them like, hey, look, we're about to get to the job site. Just get ready to get in back into that mode because it's a lot. Like I said, it's very fast paced, and you have things that just happen unexpectedly on projects. So you have to constantly remind them of like, remember, we're shooting content, so get back in the mood that I need you to get back in because the camera's about to start rolling again. I need all energy, as much energy as possible to get the best out of this video, this short form content that we're about to create. So is it always freestyled? Nah, but we adjust if we have to, and I definitely have everything planned out accordingly before I show up, in the moment, and even after. When I get back home, I already have everything structured, so I know what I'm going to create as soon as I get back home and how I'm going to organize everything. What did I wear on this trip? As you can tell from a lot of my content, I wear a lot of construction clothes. At least I don't try to stand out when I'm shooting content with a contractor. I want to make it seem like I am part of the team, so I don't look like the awkward one standing out with, this big camera already in my hand. So boots, construction clothes, and if they can, if the contractor, like Jordan, he had an extra shirt, I wore a blue shirt, and that's how I showed up. How many times did I have to say, wait, let's do it again? I say that probably to the contractor that I'm working with, and even to Jordan and Megan, way more times than I can think of, just because I only get, well, first of all, I'm in Jersey, and then second of all, he's all the way over here in Maine, so I need to make sure that I have some backup for the backup for the backup. And sometimes I just want you to get it out the way. So maybe the first time when I'm recording the first time, I'll just record, but I know I'm not going to use it. I just need the contractor to get comfortable with this camera being in their face and how to not look at me for confirmation and just keep your eyes in here. So I'm like training them that first time that I have them talk on camera. And then after that, I'll be like, all right, that's it. You let it out. You did it. Take a deep breath. Go ahead. Let's do it again. If I hear like a stutter or I hear like a hiccup, then I'll be like, you know what? Do it again. Do it again. And I'll make you do it like 5-10 times. I don't care. I need a certain voice. I need a certain tone. I need a certain body language. Don't cross your arms. You're selling yourself through your content. So you have to think of that as your first impression when you're showing up for somebody that you want as a potential client. And you're not gonna go to somebody's house and do an estimate with your hands crossed and with being sluggish or anything. Like I'm thinking of all of that in those scenarios as we're shooting the content. So I'm here to just amplify the best version of yourself through content. And I know it's in you. Just this is sometimes uncomfortable because having a camera in front of you is not always it's not something these contractors are always used to. So we're gonna do it again multiple times. And we did. We definitely did. How many pieces of content did you aim to create today? This is a good question. We planned on creating a YouTube video, and because we're creating long form content, we're gonna be able to take from that long form content and turn short form clips out of it to be able to use it for Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So it's not like we had a number of how much short form content we were going to create. It was how much can I get out of the day of what's already going to happen, but also keep it around a certain concept for the specific video so I can, one, be able to monetize it. Be able to optimize it. And then two, I could still be able to create a storyline out of that long form video. And then ultimately the in-between stuff of getting everything else that happens for short form content. And how do you decide what type of content a contractor needs? Well, first I talk to them about their goals, because maybe they have a certain objective that they want to be able to reach, and I bring in my creativity. But I look at the bigger picture of where their brand is positioned on social media and as a whole, as a company, online, offline. And then I think about what would work best based off of their time, based off of how much they're willing to invest in with their time, because it is very time consuming. Second is how big do they want to grow in the online space? First, I just ask a lot of questions, and out of that, I'll be able to tailor something specifically for them according to their needs, wants, desires. What problems are we solving from doing this, and how big do they really want to take this? Because we can go big, we can go at your pace. It's really up to the contractor, but I'm always going to suggest based off of also what position they're in, what would be the best fit from my perspective as a brand strategist. So I can always tailor something specifically also from where they are in business. Are they in the beginning stages of business? Are they in the wanting to grow stages because they already have multiple crews and they just need extra marketing efforts behind them? Or are they a big business, big organization, team of more than 20 people? I've done projects like that for way bigger companies. It was still tailoring something specifically to where they're at in their business. So yeah, it's a lot of planning that goes into it. How do I get contractors comfortable on camera? Well, one, I don't judge. I completely understand the position that they're in when this is in front of them, right? I'm also there, like holding their hand as they speak, as they talk, as they're moving their body around, as their facial expression. Some stuff you just don't see because you're the one that's just trying to get your mind to think of how you want to say certain things, and then everything else just doesn't fall into place. It just doesn't look right, and that's where I come in and just like, I want you to think of it from this perspective. I want you to tell it in this way. And I'm literally like holding their hand as much as possible to let them know that it's okay to do certain things if I want them to just be as natural as possible, that it's okay to be their authentic self. I'm here to amplify their brand of what they already are, not trying to change them into being something that they're not. The more you try to mold something into trying to talk a certain way, trying to be a certain way, then that's where I think that they lack the concept of creating content, because then they're thinking like, oh, well, I don't want to do this because that's just not me. And then like when they start talking in their natural language, when they start talking about the story that I want them to tell, like, oh, just naturally, I'm like, hold up, just say that in the same way, but just with the camera on. That's exactly what I need. Do I pick certain words and create the hooks and create the call to actions and try to narrate a story to try and tell a little bit better, or structure it a little bit better? Then yes, in that sense, yes. But other than that, they already talk with their hands. They already have the energy. They're already there. It's just that they think that when this is in their face, they have to be different. No, authenticity will always win. How do you make construction content engaging? How do you make painting content engaging? Everybody has a personality, a unique personality. And I try to amplify that as much as possible, because that is your unique selling proposition. Your uniqueness to your brand is the way that you are. So I try to make authenticity be the main ingredient to their brand. Everything else, it's either doing the research on trends that are already working and try to recreate it around whether it's construction or just painting. So there's a strong possibility that maybe you don't get the 30,000 likes or the 100,000 views on this on recreating the same piece of content. But even if you get a fraction of that, because it's already doing well and has performed well based on the data that you see from the numbers, then even if you get a fraction of that, it's still good, because now you're amplifying your reach. So yeah, that's how we create engaging content. What does the contractor's ideal customer want to see? I like that. They want to see that they are trustworthy. They want to see that they are not just all about trying to sell them and make it just be transactional. Because if people get a sense of you're trying to sell them something, nobody likes to be sold. So it's like, how do we create this native marketing strategy to make everything just seamless and attract people who gravitates towards the values of this painter, the standards of this painter, or even just a contractor, and let them know like, hey, look, this is what we believe is good work, and anything below that, that's not us. So when I think about the ideal customer, I'm thinking about that homeowner who is just wanting to make sure that they are spending the money in the right place and putting it in the right people's hands for them to just get a good understanding and also just peace of mind when it comes to having somebody come into your home and do a project in the way that they know is going to come out good before they meet you. Someone asked me, what do you wish people knew about creating content in this industry? I wish people knew that it isn't about the videos that are highly edited. It isn't always about showing the projects. It isn't always about just this one style of content that you can tell most contractors have. They don't have any content pillars. They don't have any strategy. And so they just stick to this one way. That is the worst type of marketing that you can do for your brand because it looks salesy. There's no context. There's nothing that shows your expertise. There's nothing that's building trust. You have to learn how to sell yourself. If you can't sell yourself on the idea that you are knowledgeable, professional, and likable, and people can trust you, if you don't sell yourself on that idea, you won't be able to sell that to someone else. All right, this is the last question because I'm going to sleep. It's already 11 o'clock. What's your favorite thing about branding contractors? My favorite thing about branding contractors is because I've been in the field for the past 11, 12 years on actual job sites, doing the actual labor work, being in the sales part of it, understanding management, and also getting around the business owners and other contractors that just have a very sharp mind. You know, being a contractor isn't just about painting walls or isn't just about laying some floor downs and installing them. It isn't just about any of that. There's so much that goes into it, and the type of leader that you need to be motivates me so much because it takes a leader to build something great. It takes true leadership to do that. And when I'm working with contractors who truly love what they do, you can see the difference. And being a part of that entire process of helping a company grow through the times that they have that fire in them to want to grow, to want to see what social media can do for their business. It's just very exciting for me. So I get to connect with some amazing contractors. I get to learn a lot of business tips from just being around them and learning how they operate their business, from their systems, from management, from their leadership skills, from their personal life. Like I get very close with every single contractor that I work with, and no matter what, I'm always learning something, and it's just inspiring to me because I'm very self-motivated and I'm very goal-oriented, and I think that's what helps me connect so easily with a lot of contractors. So that pretty much wraps this up, man. It's 11:17. I have to be up early. We have one more day to shoot some content, and then I'll be back home. So it's been exciting the past 3 days, but we got one more day here, and we're gonna bang it out tomorrow. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Like, subscribe if you want to work together. If you need help with your brand, then go ahead and send me an email or follow me on Instagram, on TikTok. Send me a message. I'm very responsive, and hope to help you one day brand your business.